Hey everyone, and welcome to Hooked on Needles and Crafts. Today we're going to be continuing the last part video, hopefully, of making the mayor from Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas crochet kit. For my returning subscribers, thank you so much for tuning in. And for my new viewers, please consider subscribing, share, hit that like button, leave a comment below, and click on that notification bell for future videos. So today, you guys, we're going to finalize this mayor here. We've got some appendages left to do, some little details that we're going to go through. If you've not seen the previous videos, go ahead and check that out. You can find it in my crochet playlist, as well as my Amazon playlist. I did get this from Amazon. If you'd like to make this character and all the other amazing characters in this booklet, I highly recommend that you go on Amazon. It's in the description box below to get this kit yourself. I'm not affiliated in any way. Just I can't share any details on the instructions due to copyright. What I do in this video is explain how to do the stitches at least 3 times, step by step. I go through instructions and how to read them, and if there's any weird craziness happening that might need a little explanation, I'll try to figure that out. But of course, we come back in at the end or during and do the assembly. So, like I said, we're doing the details now, so it's going to be in between assembly. Any items that have make 2 of them, I'm going to do the second one off camera for video time purposes, so you can go ahead and pause the video and rewind it however you need to complete the second pair. If you need to speed up or slow down the video, go ahead and click on the gear button in the corner. There's playback options to go fast or slow. If you don't need to hear me talk, you can also lower the volume on your device and click on the CC closed caption button. Okay, so let's continue where we left off. This is my mayor right now. We have the sad side or mad side, and we have the happy side. We're going to be doing the spider next, so let me set this aside for now. And we're going to be using black yarn, so go ahead and grab that. I have mine right here. What I think comes with the kit, I'm not 100% sure. If not, go ahead and get yourself a pouch of these or a container of these stitch markers. The more the merrier. They'll help you keep track of your rows as well as your stitches. And then of course we have the hook that they gave. I know these instructions come with like different size hooks, which is crazy because they only give you 1 to work with. Okay, so let's get this done. I want to show you guys how to make an adjustable ring. They have it abbreviated as AR. And what you're going to do is take your yarn like this. We're going to wrap it around our finger 3 times with a little bit of overage so that you can hold it down with your middle finger. So from here you can straighten out, loosen or tighten your strands as you need it. But I'm going to take my crochet hook and we're going to slip it under the 3 strands just like this. I'm going to pull this back out. We're going to drag this strand right underneath these 2. So hook that strand. You want to twist the hook sideways so that you can tuck it just under these strands. If you don't twist it, it's going to get hooked on the other 2 strands there. But we just pulled it back like that. We're going to yarn over, which is picking up this feeder yarn here. And we're going to pull it through that loop. So pull that through the loop, and then we can let go of our middle finger and we can pull the rings off the index. Alright, so now I'm going to gather up some feeder yarn. You can leave the excess piece in the right, the rings in the middle, and the feeder yarn on the left, like this. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to do our single crochet stitches. Let me show you how to do at least 3 of them. And then we'll continue on from there. So take your hook and stick it into the rings like this. We're going to yarn over and you're going to pull up a loop like that. So now you have 2 loops on your hook. We're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through those 2 loops. 1, 2. So we have our first single crochet stitch. we have our loop in the front here, another loop in the back, and then if you look at it on top, it kind of looks like a braid. And then the excess piece is still left out here in the cold. Let's do another one. Alright, so stick your hook into the rings. We're going to yarn over and you're going to pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops. Then we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through those 2 loops. So now we have 2 single crochet stitches. We have a loop in the front, a loop in the back. Look at it on top, it looks like a braid. Let's do one more time with you guys. So into the rings here, put in your hook. We're going to yarn over and you're going to pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. So now we have 3 single crochet stitches, a front loop and a back loop. Our excess piece is right here. Now I'm just going to continue on with the remaining single crochet stitches. So now that I did this 3 times, you can rewind this part as many times as you need until you're comfortable doing the single crochet stitches on your own. But again, I'm just going to finish this up and then we're going to move on to the next steps. Okay, so now from here, I'm going to overhand my hook. I'm going to hold my stitches right down here where this excess piece is. I'm going to let go of my feeder yarn for a bit, set it aside. Now you want to hold this not too tightly because we have to pull this yarn. If you press on it too tightly, you're not going to be able to pull the yarn here. But what we're looking for is these 2 loops. We want them to disappear into the magic ring or adjustable ring. And what we're going to do is we got to do this one at a time, otherwise it's going to bunch and it's not going to look nice and it's not going to pull easy. So what we're going to do is pull the excess piece. So pull it slowly and then find out which one of these loops is the one that's going to go in first. Alright. So I stopped because this one here in the back is the one that went inside first. So what we're going to do is pull this side out of that loop. So don't pull it from up here, pull it from down here. So the loop that just went in first, I'm going to start pulling out this lower side. And as I'm pulling, you should notice that the other loop is going to start disappearing. And you want to keep pulling it until that loop is completely gone inside the adjustable ring, like that. Now we have to get rid of this loop. So take hold of the excess piece here and we're going to start pulling this out until that loop is completely gone as well. Now there's going to be a tiny little hole here that you want gone. So we're going to pull in the opposite direction, a little up, and you're going to feel it move a tad bit, just a little bit. Okay, and that little bit is going to close the tiniest hole that you have left on here, and that's pretty much done. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take and this is best practice, I'm not too sure what's happening next in the instructions, but I'm going to slip this under the last stitch we made, so that marks the last stitch of that round. You want to take your stitch marker and slip it under the front loop and the back loop. But when you do this, you want to make sure that you're not accidentally piercing the yarn or splitting it in half or whatever. To check that, we're going to pull this. If you could see a nice clear hole like we do right now, that means you should be good with putting this stitch marker in place. We didn't split any yarn or anything like that. If we did, you'd probably not see the hole. You'd probably see some mess in there. Okay, I'm gonna close this up and then we're going to start on the next set of instructions. Okay, so this is a little bit different from a normal amigurumi because we're making a very tiny piece here. So what we're going to do now is a slip stitch, and I'm going to show you how to do that. What you're going to do is count the number of stitches that you just did, So once you count that, put your hook at the last stitch that you counted. Okay. So from here, we're going to do a slip stitch. And how to do that? Well, you just yarn over, and we're going to pull this strand through this set of loops and this loop, just like this. Okay, so you're left with one loop on your hook. That is a slip stitch. Alright, so next what we have to do is a chain stitch. So let me show you how to do that. A chain stitch is basically the basic stitch in crocheting. What you want to do is yarn over, and then we're going to pull this this strand through this loop like that, and that's it. So a chain stitch is made up of 3 loops. We have a loop here, a loop on the other side. If you turn it on its back, you can see that back hump right there. So a chain stitch is made up of 3 loops. Alright, so now that we did that, we have to do another single crochet stitch, but we're going to do the same stitch we just worked on. So that means you have to stick your hook into, I don't know if you can see it, but we had a loop when we made that slip stitch. You have to stick you see where the chain is coming out, stick your hook back in there. And then you also want to stick your hook at that last stitch from the single crochet stitches we did, because we're pretty much doing a single crochet stitch in the same stitch that we just used. So to do a single crochet stitch, I kind of showed this already, but let's do it again for this circumstance. We're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull up a loop through that stitch, and then also through this loop here. And now we have 2 loops on our hook. We're going to yarn over again, and you're going to pull through those 2 loops. So we have our single crochet stitch. Alright. And then we're going to chain 1 again. So yarn over and pull through the loop. And we have our chain 1. It's made up of 3 stitches, 1 loop here, 1 loop here, and 1 loop here. Did I say stitches or loops? It's made up of 3 loops. Okay, and then we have to do another slip stitch in the same stitch. So this one stitch here is getting a workout. So stick your hook again in that initial loop that we had, and then also slip your hook under that last stitch count that we did. And we're going to do another slip stitch. So this is the third time I'm showing you how to do it. We're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through everything off your hook. So that's past the last stitch that we counted, past that loop that we had in the beginning, and then past this chain 1 loop that we did. So now we have left 1 stitch, 1 loop on your hook. It's a lot, but if you just keep track of what's on your hook, you should be able to, figure out what you need to do here. But from here, we're going to have to fasten this off. So fastening off is pretty much closing the stitch. So what I like to do to make sure that we have enough for sewing, because we have to sew the spider to the shirt. And we also need to make 6 legs, even though a spider has 8, from my understanding. But whatever. I'm going to take the yarn and wrap this around the object twice to make sure I have enough to sew, with a little bit of extra, because I like to make sure that we have enough. If we don't have enough, we do have this excess piece here that I can try to use to make some of the legs. But after you cut this, what we're going to do now is we're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through the loop all the way out, and we're going to pull this, and then we are good to go. Okay. So now it tells us we have to sew this onto the shirt. Like I said, I did the second one off camera. Okay, and we're gonna sew these two on there. Now I can't remember exactly what needle they gave you. I have a bunch of needles from different kits. I think last videos I've been using this metal one. So just use whatever needle they gave you. But I'm going to take this now and we are going to sew this on. And it tells us to make the spider facing down. It actually tells you to sew it with the embroidery floss. Something, I guess something similar to this. But if you don't have that, and I like to use it sparingly, if I already have black yarn here, I'm just going to use it. So you want to pick the prettier side. If there's a better side that you think is more interesting than the other, then use that side. But I'm just going to go now and I'm going to sew this on. Does it have to be I don't think it has to be all nice and I don't know, just look at the photo. I'm not a sewer too, so I'm at a disadvantage here. But poking through the spider, and then we're going to poke through the shirt. So just figure out a way to make it work here. So I actually am going to sew from underneath the spider. If I can make the legs, I'm going to make the legs. And I'm kind of just using the stitches to guide where I'm putting my legs. So I think it's at random. So don't like beat yourself up if you don't feel like the placement is right. I don't know. Right, if it looks like that you can make it with the amount of yarn that you gave yourself, oh, the legs look terrible in the back, then you can take your excess piece and I'm going to actually just cut this shorter. And then I'm going to tuck it inside the spider so that it's, you know, it's gone. Alright, let's finish up the rest of the legs here. Okay, and then once we're back around, I'm gonna make sure that the head is secure. We're gonna have to figure out a way to tie a knot. in this thing. I don't know the best way to do it, so I'm just gonna make something up here. So I just make a loop, and then I just put my needle in there once, and then one more time, and then I pull it closed tightly, and then I take the needle, put it in one end, and randomly come out the other. Oh, should probably make sure that this is on here. Okay, let's do that again. Random spot, out another random spot. Okay, make sure you pull that excess piece in there. Drag it all the way out if you can. Okay, this is short enough. If it wasn't, you'd cut it to the surface and then just squeeze it till it disappears. But we've got the first spider on. That leg is just not happening. Whatever. And then off camera, I'm just gonna sew this second one on, and we're gonna move on to the next part, which is the arm. All right, so I'll be right back. You're going to take your pale peach, and we're going to do an adjustable ring. Just take your finger, wrap this around your finger 3 times with a little overage so you can put your middle finger right on it. Then you can adjust your strands to be straight and loose or tight depending on how it is. I'm going to slip this under the 3 strands. We're going to pull this back, and we're going to hook this strand so we can drag it underneath these 2. So hook it, turn to the side, and drag underneath the 2 strands here. Then we're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through the loop. So you can let go of our middle finger and slip the rings off of our index. Okay. So now I'm going to collect some feeder yarn. We're going to do some single crochet stitches, so go ahead and do that. Alright, so now we have our single crochet stitches. You're going to hold the bottom stitches like this, let go of the feeder yarn. You want to hold this not too tightly because you won't be able to pull on this excess piece if you're holding it too tightly. I get this a lot lately. Make sure that you're making these stitches not too tight and that you are not accidentally piercing into the yarn. If you don't have a nice clear stitch, you're going to have a hard time pulling this. So what we're going to do is pull this excess piece. We're going to watch to see which one of these loops goes in first. So pull it, look for which one is going in first. Okay, so once you've identified which loop it is, you're going to pull this side out. So take the loop here and pull that side out. You're going to see the other loop disappear. Okay, make sure you're pulling the yarn, the loop that went inside first. Otherwise, you might also have an issue pulling this in. So once that loop is completely gone into the magic ring, then you're going to pull on this excess piece to make this loop disappear. So make sure that goes all the way inside into the adjustable ring. You might have the littlest hole here. What you're going to do now is pull in the opposite direction, a little up, and you're going to feel it budge just a little bit more, and that should close your hole in there. I'm going to take my marker and we're going to place this under the last stitch you made. Again, make sure you're not piercing any of the yarn. You want it to go right under the front and back loops, the braid of this stitch. You can tell if you pierced it by pulling on the stitch marker. If it looks nice and clean, then you are good to go. You can close this up. All right, so let's move on to the next steps. So we have round 2 and 3. So for the next 2 rounds, we're going to do some single crochet stitches, but we're going to switch to the gray at the last round. So we're going to do all the single crochet stitches with the exception of the last stitch, because I'm going to show you how to transition to the gray. So the first round is going to be a little hard to see where you put your hook next. So what you're going to do is count from the stitch marker the number of stitches, single crochet stitches from round 1, and then you're going to stick your hook into that last stitch, and then we're going to start our single crochet stitches. Sometimes it's hard to see where to put the hook, so if you can see it, then that's good. If not, you can always just count back your stitches to make sure that you're going to put your hook into the right stitch. Okay, so these next 2 rows are going to be pretty straightforward. And this is only 2 rounds, so I can keep count of that. It's fairly easy. So I'm just going to replace this stitch marker under the last stitch we made. Again, make sure you clear the braid. Okay. And then we're going to do the next round, but I'm going to stop before the last stitch because I have to transition to the gray, and I want to show you guys how I do that. Oh, I almost did the last one. Right, hold off for the last one. I'm going to take this stitch and I'm going to loop, and I'm going to make it really large. You can do that by pulling on this crochet hook. This is just so that you keep from losing the stitch. As you see here, this project is curling inward, and that's okay, that's normal. But what we need to do is flip this inside out. So push this inside of the ring or your project outward, and you can tell it's going to be like really nice stitching. You can see each stitch individually here, and then plus this excess piece that's sticking out is now on the inside, and we can tuck this into that cavity. Make sure you don't sew into it. But now that we got that situated, I'm going to go grab the gray here. Alright, just going to grab some gray here. Alright. I got some gray. I'm going to cast on with the slip knot. I'm going to use the hook that I took out. We're going to hold the ring, pinky, and thumb on one end, index and middle on the other. Take your crochet hook, lie it perpendicular to the yarn. We're going to go down, out, and around to create this loop. Around the hook, you can slide your hook up and down, slide it down towards your thumb. Take your middle finger and place it right where it crosses. Then we're going to gather up some feeder yarn, and then we're going to repinch this end as low as we can go. Then slide the hook farther down close to the thumb. Where it crosses, just pinch it so you can no longer move your hook up and down. We're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through that loop. Over hook, hand your hook. Alright, repinch the end here. We're going to push this knot towards the thumb, and we're going to push it down so we can't push the knot down any further. And then we're going to take our thumb and middle finger and just pull that excess piece just to make the knot a little tighter. And we're going to slide the knot towards the hook. Make sure you leave a little bit of space. because we're going to remove this off of our hook, and we're going to get our project again here. Slip your hook back into that large loop, and then you can close it up by pulling on the feeder yarn. We're going to start the last single crochet stitch, but we're going to finish off with the gray. So stick your hook into the next stitch. We're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull up a loop so you have 2 loops. Then I'm going to take this feeder yarn and hold it off to the side. You can use your middle finger and pinky to hold it back. Then I'm going to slip the gray on, and then I'm going to slip the gray through both loops to finish off that single crochet stitch, and you can see how it's a nice clean transition. So now I'm just going to replace the stitch marker under the last stitch we made, and then I'm going to go check the instructions. I want to see if I'm going to be using any more light peach. So it looks like that we're not changing to light peach again, so we can cut this. So I'm going to take about 1 inch or so, and we're going to cut the peach out. We can set this peach aside for now. I'm going to tie the peach twice around the gray. It doesn't have to be tight, it just needs to be secure. You don't want to lose the stitches that you've previously made, and this is just a precaution. And then you can tuck this light peach inside the hand, because from now on we're going to be making the sleeve. Okay, so gather up some yarn around your finger. Okay, we're going to do round 4. So for round 4, we're going to be working with a new stitch. It's an increasing stitch. And basically what an increasing stitch is doing 2 single crochet stitches in 1 stitch. So I'll show you how to do this 3 times. Stick your hook into the next stitch here. We're going to put 2 single crochet stitches in here. So yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Then do it again, stick your hook back into that same stitch we just used, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2 loops. So I don't know if you can see it, but this 1 stitch here, it has 2 single crochet stitches coming out of it. Alright, so let's do this again. Stick your hook into the next stitch. We're going to be doing 2 single crochet stitches in here. So yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Then do it again, stick your hook into that same stitch we just used. We're going to do another single crochet stitch. And then if we look at it, you can see that 1 stitch has 2 single crochet stitches. One more time with you guys. So stick your hook into the next stitch. Be sure you don't accidentally crochet into those excess pieces inside the hand. And yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Then stick your hook back into that same stitch. We're going to do another single crochet stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops, yarn over and pull through those 2 loops. Alright, so now that we've completed that, I'm going to go ahead and do the remaining increasing stitches. You can rewind this part as many times as you need until you're comfortable doing the increasing stitch by yourself. But let's continue on with this. Okay, I'm going to replace this stitch marker and I'm going to slip it under the last stitch we made. Okay, now we're going to do round 5. Alright, so let's talk about this since it's getting a little longer, these instructions. So we have a set of parentheses. We're going to focus on that first set of parentheses. It's telling us to do increasing stitches and single crochet stitches. Then it tells us to do it the number of times. So we're going to repeat that parenthesis as many times as the instruction tells you to. And then we've seen this in these instructions. At the very end, we have another set of parentheses, and it has a number with stitches next to it. That means after that round, that's how many stitches you are supposed to have. So when you finish a round and you just want to make sure you're at the same count, you can go and count the number of stitches, and it's supposed to match the number in the parenthesis at the end of the round instruction. So let's do round 5. I'm going to be doing the increasing stitches and single crochet stitches, repeating it the number of times that it tells me to. Alright, replace the stitch marker under the last stitch we made. Okay, then we're going to move on to round 6. So we have a new kind of instruction here. So we're just going to be doing single crochet stitches. However, we're going to be using the back loop only, BL. So let me show you what that is. So when we look at our project in the front, we have a row of loops here, and then we have a row of loops here. So this row is the front loops, this row is the back loops. So we're just going to be putting our hook in the back loops only. Okay, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So we're going to go into the next stitch. We're going to use the back loop only. You want to split this braid and put the hook just through the back loop only, so you can see the front loop is right there. We're going to do our single crochet stitch like we normally would, but just back loop only. So let's do this again. Stick your hook between the braid. We're going to put our hook into the back loop only, like that. We're going to do our single crochet stitch like we normally would. And now we have 2 single crochet stitches, back loop only. One more time with you guys. Stick your hook between the braid here. We're going to go through the back loop only. Then we're going to do our single crochet stitch like we normally would. And so now we have 3 single crochet stitches, back loop only. You can tell, you can see this row of front loops that we didn't touch. Alright, so now we can rewind this part as many times as you need until you can do single crochet stitches using back loop only on your own. I'm going to go ahead and complete the rest of this round using the back loop only. Okay, so now I'm going to take the marker and put it under the last stitch we made. Okay, then we're going to move on to round 7. So we're going to do 7 and 8, and this one is pretty straightforward. We're going to be doing single crochet stitches, but we don't need to worry about front and back loop. We're doing it around both loops like we normally would. So let's do that now. All right, that was 7. Replace the marker under the last stitch we made. We'll do 8. Now normally if this was more than 2 rounds, or if I know for sure I can't keep up doing 2 rounds because sometimes my memory's just that bad or I'm really busy, I would use the stitch markers, more than one of them, but I'm confident for some reason today, and I know right now I'm doing round 8. So I think 2 rounds I can deal with today. But yes, most of the time I don't even chance it, because knowing me, I'll get interrupted and I'll completely forget what round I'm in, even if it's only 2 rounds. Alright, replace the stitch marker under the last stitch we made. Okay, then we're going to do round 9. So for round 9 we are introducing a new stitch, and it's called the invisible stitch. And what it is it's pretty much taking 2 stitches and turning it into 1 stitch. So I'll show you how to do that, but this is in a parenthesis, so we're pretty much going to do invisible decreasing stitches along with single crochet stitches. We're going to repeat this a number of times, and then we should have the X amount of stitches left, so you might want to go ahead and count that at the end. But let me show you how to do an invisible decreasing stitch. So you're going to go into the front loop only of the next stitch. So where last time we did back loop only, this time we're going to do front loop only, and we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops. Then we're going to go into the front loop only again, and we're going to yarn over and pull up a loop so that we have 3 loops. So we just went through 2 front loop onlys right now, and then we're going to yarn over and pull through all 3 loops to create that 1 single crochet stitch. So I'm not sure if you can see what's going on here, but here's 1 stitch, here's the other, and we made 1 stitch out of it. So I'm going to do my single crochet stitches after this, and we can use both front and back loops, so we don't have to worry about that. And then I'll show you again how to do an invisible decreasing stitch. So we're going to go in the front loop only again. All right, we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull up a loop. So you have 2 loops. Then we're going to go into the next stitch, front loop only. We're going to yarn over and pull up a loop, so you have 3 loops. Then we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through all 3 loops. So if you can see, we took 2 single crochet stitches and made it into 1. So now I'm going to go ahead and do my single crochet stitches using both loops this time. And then I'm going to show you guys one more time how to do an invisible decreasing stitch. So in the next stitch, front loop only, put in your hook, yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 2 loops. Stick your hook into the front loop only of the next stitch. Yarn over, pull up a loop, so you have 3 loops. Then we're going to yarn over and you're going to pull through all 3 loops. 2 single crochet stitches turned into 1. Alright, so let's just finish up the remaining single crochet stitches here, and then we can move on to round 10 to 12. So that's 3 rounds that we have to do. And I just don't want to forget that. So if I'm going to replace this stitch now, this is going to be round 10. Slip it under the last stitch we made. 10, 11, and 12. All right, we're pushing it with 3 here. So pulling out the stitch markers. Okay. So for the next 3 rounds, this is going to be pretty straightforward. We have single crochet stitches. So for round 13, we have a set of parentheses like we did round 9, using invisible decreasing stitches and single crochet stitches. And then for round 14, we're back to doing single crochet stitches. So what it has us doing is stuffing the arm. So we're going to come back in at round 14 so that we can stuff, and then continue to row 15 after. But I'm going to do this in silence. Alright, so I finished up to round 14. We have to stuff the arm. So let me just pull this hook out because I don't want to worry about it dangling. Okay, and then I'm just going to go and stuff this arm. And it's pretty narrow, so let's do it piece by piece. Normally I don't like to stuff anything this small, but it's the arm. There's not much you can do to make it bigger, so just work with what you have here. Alright, so I've stuffed the arm. I'm going to put the hook back on here. Pull on the feeder yarn to tighten up that loop. And we're going to finish around row 15. So what we have to do is squish the arm so that we do this fold here. Line up the stitches. Because we're going to be doing the single crochet stitches. So I'm going to actually remove this stitch marker so that it's out of my way. Alright, and we're going to do single crochet stitches. So go into the first stitch, and right where the stitch is across from it, because we squashed it down, is where we're going to put our hook. We're going to do our single crochet stitch together, and then we're going to move on to the next one. Into the next stitch, we're going to put our hook onto the other side of the same stitch here. Do our single crochet stitch, then again stick your hook into the next stitch and into the next stitch right across from it. Alright, we're going to yarn over and do our single crochet stitch, and we're just going to do the remaining stitches here. And then it has us fastening off and leaving a tail to sew to the body. Okay, so I'm going to run this yarn back and forth maybe 4 times to give myself enough yarn to sew onto the body. So to fasten off, we're going to yarn over and we're going to pull through the loop. Whoa, all the way out. And then let me just sew this onto the body so that you guys can do the other one. I'm going to do the other arm off camera. But I'm going to just sew this on here so you can do the other one on your own as well. So this is going on the sides of, it says just under the collar. So I'm going to lift this flab up and I'm going to place this in the middle of the body here, and we're going to sew this together. So try not to get the stuffing with it. You want it to be nice and separate so that you have a nice clean joint. If you sew into the stuffing, it's going to come out and you're going to see it. It's going to look messy. All right. So now that we've got that sewn on, I'm gonna find my moment here underneath the arm to make a knot. Okay, I'm gonna go into one side and randomly out the other side, dragging this yarn out. I can cut this flush to the surface. All right, squish it to make it disappear, but we have our first arm on. Okay, so now I'm going to go off camera. I'm going to do the second arm and sew it on, and then when we come back, you won't even notice I'm gone. We're going to do the rosettes. Okay, so be right back. Okay, I sewn on both of the arms, as you see here. We are now going to do the rosette. Again, making two of these. I'll make the second one off the camera. So let's do the adjustable ring. We've probably done this a number of times already. Let's see. All right, let's just do this one more time with you guys. So we're going to wrap this around our finger 3 times with a little overage so we can put our middle finger on it. Then we're going to adjust the strands here. Stick the hook underneath the 3 strands. I'm going to hook this one and pull it underneath these 2. So hook it, turn your hook to the side, and then pull it underneath the other 2 strands. Then we're going to yarn over and then pull this through the loop. Let go of your middle finger, pull the loops off your index, and then we're going to do our single crochet stitches. So let's do that now. Alright, and then I'm going to overhand my hook, hold the stitches down here. I'm going to pull this. Okay. I'm going to see which loop goes in first. This one is moving, so I'm going to pull this side out of the magic ring, adjustable ring. Then you're going to see the other loop go in. You're going to pull it until it goes in all the way into the adjustable ring, and then you're going to pull this and make this loop disappear. Okay, to close up the hole completely, we're going to pull in the opposite direction and a little up. You're going to feel it pull just a little bit more. So now it's closed. I'm going to put on my stitch marker, and then we're going to move on to the next round. So for round 2, we're going to do some slip stitches into the back loop only. So count back the number of stitches we needed for round 1, and then stick your hook into the back loop only, just like we did in the arm. Okay. Then we're going to do a slip stitch, which is yarn over and pull through all the loops off your hook. And then we're going to do some chains. And then we're going to do a slip stitch into the next stitch over, back loop only. Right? And then we're just going to repeat this the number of times that the instructions tell us to, and we're doing back loop only. So I'm going to do that now. All right, so after you do that, we're going to do some more chain stitches. Okay, and then we're going to do some single crochet stitches. So whenever we have a row of chain stitches and then we do single crochet stitches, we're always going to skip the first stitch, and then we're going to put our hook into the next stitch, and I'm going to stick it in the back hump. So we have here, if you see, there's a braid going down. Each stitch has 2 loops on each side, and then if you turn it on its side, you can see the back hump here. I'm going to put the hook in the back hump. So skip a stitch into the second one going in the back hump, and we're just going to do our single crochet stitches. And then you're going to repeat this the number of times the instruction tells you to do the single crochet stitch. So we're just going to do that. And then once we complete the single crochet stitches, we are going to, I'm going to remove this stitch marker. It's just going to get in the way, but I'm going to slip stitch in the same stitch that we let's see what it says actually. Yeah, I'm going to slip stitch in the same stitch that we just worked on. And then we're going to do another row here of chain stitches. And then again, we're going to be doing single crochet stitches. So you're going to skip a stitch, and I'm going to go into the back hump. Doing your single crochet stitches. Once you've completed the number of single crochet stitches they ask you to do, we're going to do a slip stitch in that same stitch again. Okay, and then we just have to fasten this off. So go around this rosette 2 times and then cut it off. Then we're going to yarn over, and you're going to pull through the loop all the way out, then tighten it up, and then we have to sew the rosette on one side of the body. Okay, so let's take the one we just did, thread it up. Okay, then I'm just going to place this to the side here. I'm going to tuck this the adjustable ring excess piece. I'm going to cut it down so that I can hide this in the back here. Alright, then I'm just going to sew this in place. And I can't really see what I'm doing. I'm just going to go in and out of this rosette to make sure that this is just secure. Okay, and then I'm going to go in here and tie my knot. I want to go on one end, randomly out the other, and cut this flush. Okay, so we got that. Now I did make another one off camera. I'm going to sew this on to the other side. I'm just going to put it in the same spot. And then when we come back, we're going to do the leg, attach that, and then we'll pretty much be done. All right, last part. So we're going to make the leg, and we're going to do our adjustable ring. I showed you how to do this at least 3 times, so I'm just going to set this up so that we can do round 1. And after you do this over and over again, you'll get used to how it's done. All right, I'm going to do my single crochet stitches. Okay, hold the bottom end here. We're going to get rid of these loops. Okay, now for the next 3 rounds here, it's pretty straightforward. We're doing single crochet stitches, but I'm going to pull out my markers here. So this is going to be for round 2, 3, 4, and I'm going to do this in silence. Okay. I completed rounds 2 through 4. We're going to do 5, and it looks like we're doing increasing stitches. So let's do that. Okay. Place the marker. All right. So now for rounds 6, 7, and 8, we have a set of parentheses, doing increasing stitches and single crochet stitches, repeating it the number of times the instruction tells us to. So I'm going to do rounds 6, 7, and 8, and we'll come back in to stuff the legs and fasten off, and then we're going to sew the leg to the body. here's the leg. We have to stuff it and sew it onto the body. So let's fasten this off. I'm going to go around the perimeter of this leg 2 times. And then cut it off. Right, we're going to yarn over and pull through the loop all the way out and tighten this up. I'm going to take my needle and we're going to stuff this. There's a little nubby here that we have to fill first. Okay, then we'll put the rest. And I'll have to figure out how to sew it. Alright. So I'm just going to sit this right outside the inner ring here. This mare is so long it's not fitting in frame. Okay, once I'm back around, I'm going to find my moment to tie a knot. Okay, so off camera I'm going to do the second leg, and I'm actually going to take this piece from when we finish the body. It's clear that we're not going to need it, so I'm going to just put this through one end and out another random end. Right, the trick is going to have to figure out a way to make the legs even, but when we come back we're going to see the end results. I'm going to do the second leg off camera. Alright, this was a feat to take. I didn't think it would take this long, but it did, and I know I took a break in between. I did have some work stuff going on, still going on, but I wanted to get this done for you guys. So comment below, let me know how it went, let me know what you think. It's not so bad. Out of this book, I think I have Santa and Jack Skellington Santa left to do, but I think I'm going to save that for next year or next Halloween, because yeah, this just all happened so late, and I do have itty bitty knit kits and Dollar Tree kit requests that I have to get through, and then I do have to go back to Annie's. That's been requested for a while, and I really need to finish that blanket. So and then I got a new kit that last year, by the way, that I really want to try this year. I want to see if you guys have it, seen it, or want to try it. And then for Christmas I did get a really fun kit that I hope to work on down the road this year. We'll see if I have room for that. At any rate, thank you guys so much for watching. This is Hooked on Needles and Crafts. Please share, like, and subscribe for future videos, and I'll see you again next time. Thanks. Bye.